I'm so excited to see you all here. Everyone, this is Annam. Welcome, Annam. It's so beautiful to have you here. And I started us off while we were waiting. I knew you would arrive in just the right divine timing. And so we started with a prompt that I thought of after listening to some of the videos on your website. And you asked a question that, or you sort of invited a question that I thought was so beautiful, which is the thing that fascinates us, is kind of our calling in many ways. And I've been sitting with that for a few days, the thing that sort of fascinates and resonates with us even as children. So thank you for that prompt. It got us off to a good start. But now that you're here, I would like to, if you're ready, introduce you and let you take it from there. So everybody, Healing Grove, this is Annam, formerly known as Elle Collier-Ray, correct?
Still known as Elle Collier-Ray. Annam is just an honorific. It's not my name.
What do you prefer that we address you as?
There's a story already in the beginning. Elle is my divine name. It's been my always forever sound current registering somehow through our throat, so we can actually vaguely say the sound current out loud. Everyone has an active, resonant sound that is from our wholeness. Some call it our holiness. That is just you, not you, the person yet. But as we establish connection again to that other region, it is kind of a funny backwards word. We down tune it to our body side. Elle is not French. It is my forever sound. But if you say it, it often brings me up way too high. So we have a very difficult time meeting on Earth. And I needed something to get me more able to establish the frequency deeper into our knit of awarenesses right here. And Annam, surprisingly, simply means nourishment, means that which we can digest and that which also registers in us as good. So there we are. Take your pick.
Beautiful. Well, I think for the purposes of this conversation, we'll use the more grounded, the one that
Thank you. I approve. I approve.
So you don't have to be constantly bringing yourself back. So Annam is someone I've met through a friend, through one of our past speakers, Rhea Swift, who's a dear friend of mine, a healer, and someone who's worked with you, Annam, for many years.
She still does, right? Yeah.
Still working and still benefiting from the deep work that you do together, and talks of you so reverently and so positively. And so I knew, actually several years ago, I knew I needed to meet you. And we got on a phone call, I think, or a Zoom call. Maybe it was before Zoom. It was before the time of Zoom, back when we only used phones. And we got on a phone call, and you said to me something like, "You are meant to write." And I said, "Oh, yes, I kind of know that, but I sort of ignored that for many years, and I still sort of ignore it many days, but I have really taken that in and honoring, I think, more and more every day, even to the day as yesterday day kind of day, that it's an important thing for me to be doing." So I thank you for that. I also, once I started the Healing Grove, knew that you had to be here, and I just feel like you have so much to share with the world, and in particular with this audience of love bugs who gathers every week to learn tools and practices and have their minds blown by amazing people who are doing things differently for the better of all. So thank you for agreeing to be here.
I've noticed your guests. I don't have any room to go out and encounter too many others who are doing this kind of thing. I am overbooked in my personal incarnation. But I've been very impressed with who you've invited these last few months. And all that you're offering to you who are here now. There's something every day, it looks like.
I think they feel that way. It's something every week. But I do tend to aim the fire hose in the general direction of my people and hope they will survive the deluge.
Yeah, right. Fire hose.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Annam.
What I invite us to first is how you put a bridge to what I'm for, which is connectivity. And the connectivity is more than just to the amusement of seeing a person and the certain batch of nervousness in your system. It is to the whole that never actually fully grounds. And the meaning of which is similar to the spirit that is within the molecules, is never incarnating in a firm way. And it is only there that we can incarnate love. So let me put that differently. Love is the space of occurring, same word, love. Love is the space of reoccurring energy of connection that has a plus to it, connection plus use. So when we meet, I suspect we are already being kind of committed to quiet. I often get fun words through me and I try to push them away if I don't think you're going to understand, but I'll tell you. It said, we come together and immediately go a little brain dead. We're not sure what we need, why we're here, or if there's anything that we can match into. And we have to just respect that and quiet our concern that we don't know anything and open up more. So the connection begins to rampantly rearrange us, kind of like the fire hose, just make us so intrigued with what is not known yet that we don't close any doors in favor of hoping there's a subject we understand. And if you're around me very long, you'll finally get with the fact that we're being guided to where we're not familiar, not normally in our sense mind familiar. We're being led to where there's an interior, aha, something is real here. And we have to develop a kind of quiet. So we revere that internal hello that's opening to our intelligence here and seeing if it can pull us back into a different meaning of quiet. Quiet reverence, quiet wonder, open-hearted intrigue. And then beyond that intrigue of the soul of our body, an intrigue of the whole via this instrument, this body. So let me say that differently. I'll often try to rearrange this. We basically are an instrument of frequencies. And wherever our fascination is, as you began, Kristin, we have a hesitancy to go anywhere else. We just zoom in on what we're fascinated by. If you stay fascinated by being of the whole wisdom light and stay empty enough of trying to grab on what that means, empty enough to be available, kind of even moderated and motivated to touch into that higher holy frequency of well-being, you'll notice that the healing, it's a hard word, resonated before you even opened, that you already knew something of you is for distribution of this goodness, this wellness, this vibrancy, this love. You knew it. You've always known it. We just curbed it because no one seemed to use it properly, or they reduced it to foolishness, perhaps.
So here's a question for you. How do we uncurb it? Because I think we can all agree, though, most people aren't meant to become awakened mystics during their time or divinely guided at every moment, right? There's a benefit to having everyone ooch their way closer and closer to that.
I'm going to revisit what you said with something that was given a while ago, maybe 8 years ago, where I started to warn those who were seeking this slow unveiling of their mind, body, heart to their soul level, that we don't have room to wait. We don't need to stay in kindergarten. We don't need to think that we are late, thus we will always be a little shy of wisdom. In fact, turning the whole board over, we start to play it up. I have many coaching tools that help with this understanding. But the main point is you have the core that's not physical, that is your well of light wisdom, your well of that which makes you summon you, the holy you, the higher, the real you. Not diffidently, not shyly, that means anymore. But you will have a sense of being finally given permission to join your fullest I am. That isn't earth exactly, but earth is of it now. Earth becomes its vessel. A mystic, I agree. I don't even hear, I've never heard I'm an actual mystic. It's a curious word that means in love with God, worshiping God. And though that may be true always, what awakens any of us is the fascination with the whole real I that resolves into the fact that connectivity, the net of all styles, is what we're linking back on to receive through, not the veiled level of connection, as I said earlier. There's some other level of you, no matter what stage you think you're in of re-enlivening this, there's some welcoming in you of this sincere I that isn't veiled, isn't held back at all, because it's full of love, and love gives the space to meet the condition differently. And suddenly you somehow know things that your brain didn't know you knew. I coach those who are really sure this is natural for you, you just may have forgotten something about, to listen differently, to listen so that your mind doesn't curb it and try to snatch it and take it into some spin or wind. But you stay unveiled. I'll keep using that word, unclothed from thought. It's more like naked wisdom arriving again without any destruction on it, just because you don't trust it. The other part, this is a real key. When we retrieve the sense of knowing, we are to only secure it through bonding to what then is your next resolution, to be more of the good that the world now needs. Okay, I have this wisdom. What shall I see to with this? We will make millions of the mysteries we call mistakes, mis-takes. I like the Hollywood term meaning, okay, yeah, do it again. And due to the mistakes, we will see the adjustments needed to reserve judgment. Never take it for granted that we now know. Just know that our sense of learning to know is unveiling, opening, being retrieved, resumed in a way that we forgot we even had. It's your destiny, is where I'm going in the simple sentence, to recover this integration of whole logic, capital L, and the way to act with it.
So there's a lot there. And one of the things I want to not forget to ask you is, you said earlier, there's no time. Can you say more about that?
How dangerous do you want to get?
I don't know. What do you think? I'm okay with a lot of danger personally.
I'm a seer. I know that the best thing we can do is to be all that we are here for, which is to transfer our love into action. To transfer the love we want to get to the love we need to give. Be an active presence. Even you introverts, there's about a dozen semi-introverts here, right?
You know who you are, people.
You know who you are. Yeah, I are one, right? It just means you're deeper in your tendency to enter and look for wisdom from within. The trauma that many have still happening in our heart is afraid of our future and afraid to be too committed to analyzing it. So we have a temptation to stay close, I love your name here, to the nest, because we're still being fed accurately by support. So we have more strength in our capacity to enter the world. But the world as we know it needs a lot of supply of answers. And we cannot dim it by acting in the way we've done before. And so those words are out there. We don't have to guess on this. The prophecy is already read out by the science that we are doomed to lead a very different life, if you call it doomed, or presented with a challenge to rise above this and seek how to support the best answers for the most success. Mm-hmm. So it's just that time. I've been calling it boots on the ground year for a while now, front line, no longer in the reserves. All right. That's why I call myself a wingmate.
Yeah, boots on the ground. I've been calling it all hands on deck.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the time to
even a better one.
Either get into action or get out of the way, because we need all hands on deck.
Thank you, Bethany. Yes, a time of great awakenings.
Yeah. So I want to backtrack a little bit into something that we haven't even talked about yet, but it's been on my mind as I've been learning more and more about your initial call to this life that you've led. Because you were 7 when you
almost 8, yeah.
Almost 8 when you got clear that yours was a life of service and a
No, I got clear that there's presence, that there's always presence, and it came through a good old Christmas film right about now on the life of Jesus. And as I was watching it, I knew that energy was real. Well, what child doesn't believe in Santa Claus too? I knew I heard the reindeer on the roof at about the same age, maybe 2 years earlier. So the special fact, however, is that knowing just kept glowing in my energy, and I knew it's very different than having your favorite spirit that you talked to as a child. that there was always this commandeer of my child nature. It just felt like this relaxed, real blessing of support. I still made my own choices, but that support led me little by little to realizing the presence also asks not very little except to remain in league with it, and begins to supply in ways that we realize there's a voice of wisdom that controls the brain if we are related to it. And I'd been related to it for about 4 or 5 years when my first overarching remedy came in as I was being pulled out to sea, thinking I was going out to save a child at the age of 12. I was a good swimmer. I thought I could go out and save the other kid, but I got pulled out too. And it just said exactly what to do. To relax on top, don't struggle, gently maneuver to find the flow, and quietly move my way toward the shore. And there was one more of those maybe a year later as I'm falling off a cliff, not a big deal cliff, but it was very concerning to a young person. It was a sandy cliff. Who knows how it would have ended up, but it just said the same thing. Almost, it just came over this mind body and said, you're going to live a long life. There's much service you will be involved in. So, hey, no big deal. Relax.
And maybe stop putting yourself in hazardous situations.
Oh no, that was not me. I love adventure.
So Annam, so I love this image. I think a lot of us can probably relate to that feeling in childhood of being kind of invincible and having this inner knowing, and then kind of having it crushed out of us, or at least seeing all the ways in which society and teachers and parents and loved ones, well-meaning and well-intentioned loved ones, try to curb us. And so I really want to get a sense from you of, I mean, obviously you've passed those difficult years. Teenage years probably were hard. I'm guessing you had some of those pressures.
I finally finished passing them in my early 70s.
Okay, that's encouraging. Seriously, what sorts of things did you lean on? This is more, I mean,
okay, I'm going to give you, if you don't mind, some of the hallmarks of your resuming your awareness. There are definite movements, just like when we eat a meal, there's a whole process, whole access through which that meal will be distributed, and some of it released, some of it into integration, some form of energy, and then that too release. And these are activating remedies if we understand the process. The first process is, let's say, different than picking up food and eating it. First, there's the integration of all the facts of now. Maybe this isn't the best time for a meal because there's a rocket roaring my way, but I'm hungry. And so the integration indicates which remedy must appear. The integration is something similar to our word forgiveness. If you take the word forgiveness and open it up, it means for giving. So if we take all that is around us and within us, more than what our brain thinks this is, and forgive all of this to the wisdom layer of you, which means a different zone of interpretation, is wide awake intelligence that is beyond your body, you will start to feel the fascination with where the I, you are, is to move, to act, to respond, to release. And you will set up a natural trajectory toward believing this is the only way to live in a body. So the quick version of this is the first basic setting is, here I am, this is what is, no matter whether I love it or not yet. I need to integrate that this is where I am. This is the time on earth I am in, the community I am in, what's happening with my cat, trying to snare the other cat, whatever is going on. This is where I am here. And all of this I give to the ancient I am to resonate, answer into my person, resonate, bring forth the answer as to what to do in this second. And this is not happening through the logic, apparently. It's too fast for us to think and rethink and think and rethink. So the parallel, if there is any at all, is the certainty we are being made partner to the answer. We are part of the solution. So that's just the beginning of telling you again, there are accesses. They're like keys to open doors. The first access is, this is what is. The second access is, and I'm interested to know how what my part is. Basic intrigue, curiosity, the kind that welcomes like a child. Okay, this is what's going on. Now what? And enthusiasm to know. The first three accesses. Knowing, realizing that this is where I am. Interest, enthusiastic, that means filled with the breath of yes, which leads us to natural openness, past our bemusement or confusion, past our wish list, past our want, into uncontainable open wonder, into which the fifth access is. And now this instrument is filled with the reason I am here. I am the answer to this moment. And it feels non-weighty. I am responsible for this moment. It isn't happening. I'm just ready to have this, in fact, appear here. And the next access is to act with it, to bring it into service. The upper accesses are very unique. It's only now that we have learned how to do this easily that we can do the psychology on ourselves excellently. Because you'll get confounded if you try before this. Drinking on the job, Missy? But when you have this need to love being part of the solution, you'll go out looking for your own demons and mine too. And even those you don't have a sense belong to a human yet, you go, okay, bring it on. And the reason you can do that is you know how to forgive that energy onto a higher layer of, we don't have good words, but it's an intellectual discovery that spirit already has keys to open a door and give us understanding of how to release all this in ourselves. So we're not taking any of it on ourselves. It's the basic clean out stage or access. Just before we realize I'm only stuck because I got stuck on the word I. And the glee of discovery that there's no actual separation happens in the next access. And there are 3 more accesses after this release into where there is no hell. There's just answer resolving into union with what's hopeful in this field below. That's a sense field and engaged field and a competitive and a difficult level to engage in. But now we're not fearing walking on waves or walking through the waves you're making or they're making. We're not concerned, but we are a companion. engaging well. This is the fast track. I just gave you the really quick access.
Mhm. And thank you for that. So what I'm hearing really is a series of steps that can become a practice that will open us to this guidance, this innate wisdom or connection to wisdom that will allow us to move through our lives in an inspired way.
The very first one, the very first access is the one that humans are, generally speaking, lost in, because we don't like or we want more from what is in our circumstance. And we must learn to move through the next adjusters of inquiry, fascination, enthusiasm, openness, and willing to be a solution and bring it to act. Those are the basics, but we will fail. So we'll go back down. We always have to repeat these. Basically, when you get good at it, in fact, you repeat these every moment. It's instantaneous.
Well, you repeat them every moment instantaneously.
I've learned to, thankfully.
But
I
do
still
you
have a
think
little dislodge that says, but I didn't want that bad, foul, smelly stuff to go all over my favorite carpet.
All right, there's a bunch of questions in the chat. Are you
Okay.
willing to answer some of these
Yes.
questions?
Come on. Yeah.
All right, let's start. Actually, do you want to ask yourselves?
Oh, look
people?
at him, 23.
Yeah, I think we should do some hand raising so that we can make sure everyone who wants to ask them themselves gets to do that. What do you think, people? I didn't see any hands fly up, so now I'm wondering if
So
that
I'm just peering through what you have. Some of you have typed.
yeah, if you want to read them out loud, then it sounds like people aren't gonna. Oh, Kate has her hand up. Kate, go for it.
Yay, thank you. So I think I love God. I'm clearly not a mystic. Nobody would ever identify me as a mystic in my circle.
More science, right?
When I hear you, and I've listened to some of your stuff online, it sounds like you get what I would call downloads. And so my question is multifaceted, and that is, do you have a morning practice, and what would that look like?
Oh, you were that question.
How important is food? I didn't get to finish it. How important is food to what you do? Because it doesn't lead me to a spiritual awakening, but it can take me out of the running. And do you exercise? So morning practice, food, and exercise. And thank you so much.
Okay, I'm not answering that yet. I'll be back. Next, try me. We'll see who's got the charm for the first answer. This is not a competition. just that one's too soon. Let me have one that matters because
Marie.
some part of you has an instinct, you know the answer. Actually, you have an instinct, you have an answer too, Kate, but let's come back to that.
Marie, go ahead.
Yeah, what do you mean by old logic?
Ooh, sorry, Kate. I really like that question. I love interpreting these. Okay, I'm going to go backwards to something that just came. I can ask any question, and often I get answers that are so different than I would have come to. I asked, or someone did, what it was. Well, is there a first? Is there an original sin? And the answer came, curiously, not logic, but the logic that created answers before we actually had perused them for reality. And we created language that matched up with our want list or our thought body instead of reality. Language is the first sin. Is that bizarre? So that really took me on a nice little journey. And I get it now, because the sound current, like it does with me, overcomes the memory and just suits us up with what's real. And it always surprises and often pleases, but sometimes makes us look too soon for some directive of immediate, well, then tell me what to do, before we have honestly softened enough to find our way. So the practice, Kate, and I'm going to wrap back around with Kate and Marie, and this is the way I do it. You bring me a question and I'm just going to start wrapping it everywhere. So the practice is ongoing. I have trained people to know how to find that deep connectivity, and that takes paying attention. That takes holding still for 10 minutes at least. And I was also very helped by doing deep training in Zen, going to India for 6 months, 2 different times. I went to India. They added up to 6 months. And intentionally having a quandary of how do I fit into this as a success of integrated supply, and behold them with the kind of intrigue, I'll go back to that in spite of my decision that there can't be an elephant god, I went into the Ganesh temple and discerned what the actuating frequency is, and the parallel, it's like a parallel reality that they were fitting to. And I learned stuff about parallel realities I hadn't known until I went to India. The whole logic, Marie, is that shimmery, connective, real body of what is being company for our senses, so that we can push aside our prejudice and be without opinion while we're finding out what's so, what is so. And it's so big, the logic is so ongoing. There is no short way to say, this just is. Yes, that bee just stung my leg, but do I go out and kill all the hornets because one bee got involved and got stuck under my clothes? The whole logic has the remedy of love. And love is not emotional. It has no attachment. It is not possessive. It doesn't have to do with I love you. It has to do with love just is, and now I can like you or love you or leave you and still have love for you. That's logic. To have love for you, even if I can't stand your behavior style, without ever judging you for that, just judging me for not being able to tolerate it. Do you follow a bit? Yeah. So it's much bigger a connectivity with whole logic. How would I know how we became a pale face or a tan face or the color of the background in Jerry's room? And how did we do this? It's all just the leisure of what we hung out with, what food we ate, what the temperature was, how the gene stream was moving along and making things express. I believe being a mystic is the riddle of how to be so of the science of what is, that we love the whole as it's motivating a bigger reason for being than ever this little prejudiced person could come up with. So I eat skillfully. I learned in my early 30s, I think. I was watching somebody in a cafe muscle test his food. He was doing this. I went, what are you doing? Because I love to find out things. I walked up to him. What are you doing? He said, I'm finding out what on the menu would suit me. And because my adventuresome side has did have no sense of, I can't do this, because I wasn't a pessimist, I went, oh, and I went over to my food and I found out I got yeses and nos. Yes? No. And I use it for everything now. Now I can just point and see if I'm sitting in the right place. And I use one finger with a slight pressure on it, or at least an attending energy. And if it's strong, I'm in a good place. If it's weak, something's up. And then I developed my antenna so that I can walk anywhere and know. I went into the grocery store yesterday and went, whoa, holy cow, somebody is in a very curious inner mind. And I'm so darned empathic. I feel all of you. And so my process is still to find out how to maneuver that into my part and to keep moving that difficult energy on through me so I can stay more neutral and available. So yes, I think food matters. And I know humor is the big one. Laughter moves the energy. And you will find if you're around me, I make jokes at everything. My last statement to the man who I was getting the fish from at the market was, he said, do you need anything else? Can I help you with anything else? I said, yes, keep your humor. So that is basically a lasting, make yourself not into a yoke, but a joke of some kind.
No yolks, only jokes.
Not the Y-O-K-E anyway.
Right.
I love homonyms, so watch out. Do you know what a homonym is, everyone? I'll just say it. Words that sound alike but are spelled differently and mean differently. Right? They're so much fun.
Beautiful. Other questions for Annam?
I'd like to ask about what you were just speaking about, and about get the empty brain. Let me just start with something I know about, which is me. I've spent years and years and years trying to learn how to moderate my intake of sense of other people.
Oh, empathically.
Yeah, I went from the solution being to avoid people, which, you know, it kind of works, but it's not any fun because you're not out there with people and doing things and learning things. So I've gone through a lot of steps. So I'm just really curious to hear more about your thoughts or path about that.
I'm two-timing you. I'm listening with deep interest and reading what you have also sent me on the chats.
No,
I was an empath since, when did I know? Probably in my early teens, because I get nauseated going out to public events, get really jazzed or just, it was very difficult. It took me a long time, even when I started doing sessions, I do personal sessions with people, to wonder why I feel so different with each of you. Because I become an aspect of you, I become, without judgment, as if I am a twin of yours, more like that, able to have distance, but a twin. And though you're not exactly that, Missy, you can confide with that. And this is one of the keys. I am grateful for this. You know the old story about the two boys who at Christmas, one was given a bag of shit and one was given a bicycle. And the one who was given a bag of shit was the boy who was always positive about everything. They were trying to give the one who was always negative about everything something he would like. Well, the one who got the bag of shit said, there must be a pony around here somewhere. So when we're empathic, it's something like that. Okay, show me what tool this is that I am and how to best succeed with it. First of all, is to get over myself, duh. You know, we have two real choices. Optimism, not not zany. Everything's going to work out fine. Not that one. But everything's going to work out if I give room for it. I just may not know it's worked out. I may not know, but I'm giving room for it to work through me, to move on through me, just like breath, just like food, just like laundry. Okay, that stuff is ready to go. Just let it keep going, and you will have room for your healer gift that an empath starts in. You're a healer because you can sense things that other people haven't clarity in you. That's the quick answer. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
How many hours do you have?
We have about 4 minutes, and I want to make sure there isn't anything else that wants to come to light here. Bethany, you just nope. Okay.
Well, let me
Oh,
quickly mention that if you want my 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern 10-minute meditation. Yes, you're on your own, you're meditating, getting ready. And then about 20 minutes-ish of some kind of bringing through something we can talk about. You are welcome to that. And if you want to be on that, I'll send, just get in touch with me and I'll send you how to do so. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you for that gift.
And I'm also available for sessions. Yes. Who is going to ask something?
Katie.
Oh, yeah. I just certain things that I've resisted over the years that I feel like just actually meditating. I do guided meditations every night to sleep, but I don't tend to start my day with them because it's like, no, I got to get going and do my thing. But it's something else resonated earlier about what you said, like, well, there's two, I'm going to 10,000 directions, but I guess what would your thoughts be there to, I guess, to prioritize that, or what that could lead?
I'm going to twin this with a remedy. I is rather limiting and embarrassingly crowning of oneself. But if you put the ah in front of it, ah is the leading, it's the beginning. If we see it correctly, there is no bar on it. The origin of the A is just a downward V. So from the point of I am spreading across the globe of all answer that you can be. And then there's something of a sparking of that beginning to the small I with a little dot that jumps up to capture the holy, the ah, secondarily, if you say it, it's the only sound we can make that widens our throat. There's much more room, much more available room. And if you put that much more available room into our small I, you'll see things as if first there is the accompaniment of the whole divine solution, and then there's me that's gulping it down. Now I am it. Like a little frog. From the whole to the now. Little antenna bee, picking up on it and going to review it and make something with it. But stay open. I hope that helps. It's now 10. I'm obedient. Call me if you feel like it. Love to you, and thanks for welcoming me, even if delayed getting here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annam, and thank you all who came today to experience this talk together. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your respective days.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.